The emergency signal reached every corner of the Galactic Council chambers within seconds. 7 species, representing thousands of worlds, suddenly stopped their daily business. The message was simple, but it changed everything. It came from Earth. Ambassador Velcrin of the Decian Empire was the first to speak. His scaled hands gripped the communication device as he read the transmission aloud. This is Ambassador Minho Park of the Human Federation. We request a formal meeting with the Galactic Council to discuss peaceful relations and mutual understanding. Silence filled the massive chamber. Floating energy forms of the Korth Collective pulsed with confusion. The insect-like Velkari representatives clicked their mandibles nervously. Even the ancient stone beings of Mortis Prime shifted uncomfortably. "That is all," Velcrin announced, his reptilian voice echoing in the vast space. "No demands, no threats, no territorial claims, just a request to talk." High Counselor Zephys, an ethereal being of pure thought, materialized at the center of the chamber. Her voice carried the weight of 10,000 years of galactic politics. "In all our recorded history, no species has ever requested negotiations without presenting demands first. Every race that has contacted this council has wanted something specific: territory, resources, trade rights, protection, or submission from their enemies." The Velkari Hive Speaker, a creature whose thoughts connected to billions of her kind, buzzed with agitation. "Our collective memory spans 12 centuries of first contact protocols. Species always reveal their intentions immediately. Humans have been expanding across 17 star systems for 30 years. They should be demanding recognition of their territorial claims. Unless this is a trap," growled War Commander Thexus of the Decian Empire. His battle scars gleamed under the chamber lights. "Perhaps they seek to lull us into complacency before striking. In my military experience, the most dangerous enemies are those who approach with empty hands." The debate continued for hours. Each species shared their theories about human intentions. The Grekani suggested humans were studying council weaknesses. The Femoid representatives believed it was a cultural misunderstanding. The crystal minds of Altruis calculated 17 possible strategic advantages humans might gain from appearing peaceful. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Minho Park sat in his modest office overlooking the Pacific Ocean. At 55 years old, he had spent most of his life as a philosophy professor before joining the diplomatic corps. His assistant, Samin Lee, paced back and forth across the room. "Sir, the military advisors think we are making a mistake," Samin said, her voice tight with worry. "General Wu Jing believes we should have opened with strength. Show them our new defense systems, our expanded fleet capabilities, make them respect us through power." Minho turned from the window, his weathered face calm. "Samin, I have spent decades studying human history and philosophy. Every time we have approached others with displays of strength, it has led to conflict. Every time we have demanded respect through fear, we have created enemies. But sir, these are aliens. They might not understand peaceful intentions. What if they see our approach as weakness? Then we will learn something important about them," Minho replied. "And they will learn something important about us." Dr. T-Yon Kim, the chief xenobiologist, entered the office carrying thick folders of research. His team had spent years analyzing alien communications and behavior patterns intercepted from deep space monitoring stations. "Ambassador, I have the cultural analysis reports you requested," Taeyon said, setting the files on the desk. "Each species in the Galactic Council follows predictable patterns based on their evolutionary history. The Thesians developed from pack hunters, so they understand only dominance hierarchies. The Velkari evolved from hive insects, so they think in terms of collective resource management. The Korth are ancient energy beings who view existence as a zero-sum competition for cosmic forces." Amin nodded thoughtfully. "And what does this tell us about how they will interpret our peaceful approach. They will not understand it, Tayan admitted. In their experience, every species seeks advantage over others. Cooperation only exists when it serves selfish interests. The concept of genuine altruism or mutual benefit without hidden agendas is foreign to their thinking. Salmon stopped pacing. So, they will definitely see us as a threat. Yes, Taeyan confirmed. But not the kind of threat they are prepared for. They understand military threats, economic threats, territorial threats. They do not understand the threat of a species that genuinely wants everyone to benefit. 3 days later, the Galactic Council's response arrived. They would meet with the human delegation at Kepler's Rest, a neutral station in the Vega system. The meeting would take place in 2 weeks. All 7 council species would send representatives, as Minho prepared for the journey. Kay received constant pressure from Earth's government leaders. President Yamin wanted him to secure favorable trade agreements. Defense Minister Hanna insisted. He established mutual defense pacts. Corporate leaders demanded access to alien technologies and markets. But Minho had different plans. On the transport ship to Kepler's Rest, he met with his carefully chosen delegation. Besides Simon and Taeyan, he had selected 5 other specialists. Juan Choi was a cultural anthropologist who specialized in interspecies communication. Hun Wuzhang was a young diplomat, fluent in 17 alien languages. Yon Jihan was an economist who understood resource distribution across galactic civilizations. Dong Minesio was a psychologist who studied group behavior and conflict resolution. Sun Ho Yu was a philosopher and ethicist who would help navigate moral complexities. Remember, Minho addressed his team as their ship approached the station. We are not going there to negotiate for humanity's benefit at the expense of others. We are going to find solutions that work for everyone. This may be the most important conversation in galactic history. Young Hunwoo raised his hand. Sir, what if they refuse to believe our intentions are genuine? What if they think everything we say is manipulation? Minho smiled. Then we will prove our sincerity through our actions. We will listen more than we speak. We will ask questions. Instead of making demands, we will show them that there is another way to exist among the stars. As Kepler's Rest grew larger in their viewport, the human delegation prepared for a meeting that would change the galaxy forever. They carried no weapons, no ultimatums, no hidden agendas. They brought only curiosity, compassion, and the radical idea that former strangers could become friends. The aliens were waiting for them, armed with centuries of suspicion and the certainty that every species wanted something from someone else. They had no idea that humanity's greatest weapon was the simple desire to understand and help. The stage was set for the most terrifying negotiation in galactic history. Kepler's Rest Station hung in the void between stars like a massive metal flower. 7 arms stretched outward, each one designed to accommodate different alien species. The humans docked at the neutral central hub, carrying simple briefcases and recording equipment. Ambassador Minho Park walked slowly through the station corridors, observing everything. The walls were covered with symbols from dozens of civilizations. The air recycling systems had been modified to support 7 different atmospheric requirements. Even the lighting changed colors as they moved through different sections. Fascinating, he murmured to Taeyan Kim, who was taking detailed notes. They have built this place to keep everyone separate but equal. No species has advantage over another. The main conference chamber was enormous. 7 distinct seating areas formed a circle, each one perfectly suited to its occupants. The Shan section had raised platforms for their reptilian forms. The Valkyrie area buzzed with interconnected communication devices. The Korth Collective's space shimmered with energy containment fields. When the human delegation entered, all conversations stopped. War Commander Thexus stood first, his scales reflecting the chamber lights. He was nearly 3 meters tall, built for battle. "Humans," he announced in his deep voice, "we welcome you to these proceedings. We have prepared our terms for your review." He activated a holographic display. Lists of demands filled the air. Above the table: territorial boundaries, resource allocation agreements, military non-aggression pacts, trade restrictions, technology sharing limitations, and cultural exchange regulations. The document was 47 pages long. The other species nodded approvingly. This was how negotiations worked. Present demands counter with other demands. Argue until someone submitted or compromised. Bean Hope Park looked at the hologram for a long moment. Then he sat down and pulled out a simple notebook and pen. "Thank you, War Commander. We appreciate the time you spent preparing this. Before we respond, may we ask some questions to better understand your concerns?" Silence filled the chamber. The aliens exchanged glances. Questions were not part of the standard protocol. Questions. The Valkyrie Hive speaker's voice buzzed with confusion. "You review our terms. You present counterterms. We negotiate until agreement is reached or talks fail." "We understand," Salman Lee replied, opening her own notebook. "But we would like to understand why these specific terms are important to you. What problems are you trying to solve?" High Counselor Zephy's materialized more solidly, her energy form pulsing with suspicion. "Is this a stalling tactic? Do you seek to delay while your military forces position themselves?" "No," Minho said simply. "We have no military forces in this region. We genuinely want to understand your perspective before discussing solutions." The first day was uncomfortable. Every time the aliens presented demands, the humans asked questions. Why did the Decians need a 50 light-year buffer zone around human territory? What resources were the Grekani worried about humans depleting? How did human expansion affect Valkyrie hive reproduction cycles? The questions were specific and well-researched. It became clear that humans had been studying alien civilizations for years, not to find weaknesses, but to understand needs and fears. Kyuan Choi, the cultural anthropologist, addressed the Valkyrie hive speaker directly. "We have observed that your species requires specific mineral compounds for successful reproduction. Our expansion into the Rigel system has brought us near asteroid fields rich in those minerals. Instead of competing for these resources, we wonder if we could help extract and process them more efficiently for your use." The hive speaker's mandibles clicked rapidly. This was not how negotiations worked. Species did not offer to help their competitors gain advantages. "Why would you do this?" the hive speaker asked. "What do you gain? Healthy neighbors make for a stable galaxy," Jiwan replied. "If your reproductive needs are met, your hive populations remain stable. Stable populations are less likely to expand aggressively into contested territory. Everyone benefits." Hyun Woo-jang, the young linguist, had been taking careful notes on how each species communicated. He noticed that the Korth collective rarely spoke directly, preferring to influence conversations through subtle energy manipulations. "Honored Counselor Zephys," he said, addressing the energy being, "we have detected that your people communicate through quantum field fluctuations. We are curious about how our presence in this region might be affecting those communication patterns. Are we inadvertently interfering with your people's ability to connect with each other?" Zephys flickered with surprise. No species had ever noticed their quantum communication networks, let alone worried about disrupting them. The second day brought more questions. Dongmin Seo, the psychologist, asked the crystal minds of Altruis about their decision-making processes. Yoon Ji-han, the economist, inquired about trade imbalances and resource distribution across galactic territories. Hun Ho, Yu, the philosopher, discussed the ethical frameworks different species use to resolve conflicts. Each question revealed more human knowledge about alien cultures. More importantly, each question showed genuine care for alien well-being. On the third day, something shifted. The aliens began answering more completely. War Commander Thexus admitted that dash and aggression stemmed from their evolutionary history as prey animals who had to fight to survive. The Grekhani explained their fear of resource depletion came from past experiences with ecological collapse on their homeworld. The humans listened to everything. They asked follow-up questions. They took detailed notes. They never interrupted or argued. They simply sought to understand. But this behavior was making the aliens increasingly nervous. During the evening break, the alien delegates met privately without the humans. Thexus paced back and forth, his claws clicking on the metal floor. "This is not natural," he growled. "No species seeks to understand others without seeking advantage. They're gathering intelligence on our weaknesses." The Velkari hive speaker's entire body vibrated with anxiety. "Our collective is in agreement. The human approach is too sophisticated. They are learning our psychological vulnerabilities, our resource dependencies, our communication methods. This information could be weaponized against us." Zephy's pulsed with concern. "In 10,000 years of galactic politics, I have never encountered a species that asks so many questions without revealing their own agenda. Either they are the most skilled manipulators we have ever met, or they represent something entirely unprecedented." "What if they are sincere?" asked the smallest delegate, a crystalline being from the Ultra system. The chamber fell silent. "That would be worse," Thexus finally said. "If they genuinely care about our well-being, if they actually want to help us solve our problems, then everything we know about how civilizations interact becomes meaningless. It would mean that conquest and competition are not the only ways to survive among the stars." The implications terrified them all. Back in their quarters, the human delegation reviewed their notes. They were beginning to understand the deep fears and needs driving each alien species. More importantly, they were seeing potential solutions that could benefit everyone. "Tomorrow," Minho told his team, "we start sharing our thoughts. But remember, we are not here to prove we are right and they are wrong. We are here to find ways for all of us to thrive together." Outside their windows, the stars shone quietly, waiting to see if 8 different species could learn to trust each other in a galaxy built on suspicion. The 4th day began differently. The alien delegates entered the conference chamber with visible tension. Their previous night's private discussions had left them more suspicious than ever. Our Commander Thexus's scales were darker, a sign of stress among his people. The Valkyrie hive speaker's wings buzzed, constantly with nervous energy. High Counselor Zephy's materialized at the center of the chamber. Her energy formed more solid and intimidating than before. "It's humans," she announced, her voice carrying the authority of millennia. "We have listened to your questions for 3 days. We have shared our concerns, our needs, our fears. Now we demand to know your true purpose." The chamber fell silent. Every alien eye, sensor, scan detection organ focused on the human delegation. Ambassador Minho Park stood slowly, his movements calm and deliberate. He looked around the chamber, meeting each alien's gaze with steady eyes. "Our purpose is simple. We came here because we want to understand what you need to feel secure in a galaxy where humans exist." The silence stretched longer. Then War Commander Thexus slammed his clawed hand on the table, the sound echoing through the chamber like thunder. "Possible," he snarled. "No species thinks this way. You expand across 17 star systems, build colonies, extract resources, grow your population. You must want something from us. Territory, submission, resources, technology. What is your real demand?" "We have no demands," Salmon Lee replied quietly. "We are here to listen and learn how we can coexist peacefully." The Velkari hive speaker's entire body trembled. "Our collective has analyzed every word you have spoken. You have gathered detailed information about our reproduction cycles, our resource needs, our communication methods, our psychological patterns. This level of intelligence gathering can only serve military purposes. Taeyeon Kim opened his research files. We have studied your civilizations because we wanted to understand you, not to find weaknesses, but to find ways to help. For example, we discovered that Valkyrie hive reproduction requires specific temperature and mineral conditions. Our terraforming technology could create perfect breeding worlds for your species. Why would you do this? The hive speaker demanded. What advantage does human reproduction gain from Valkyrie's success? A stable, healthy Valkyrie population means less competition for marginal worlds, Taeyeon explained. It means trade partners instead of territorial conflicts. It means scientific cooperation instead of resource wars. Crystal Mind, delegate, from Altras, flickered with confusion. You speak of cooperation as if it benefits both parties equally. In our experience, cooperation is temporary until one side gains enough advantage to dominate the other. Yoon Ji-han, the human economist, activated her own holographic display. Instead of demands, it showed detailed economic models. We have analyzed galactic resource distribution and population needs for all species represented here. As proper coordination, there are enough resources and suitable worlds for everyone to thrive without conflict. Models were impossibly complex and detailed, showed trade routes that benefited all parties, resource-sharing agreements that enhanced everyone's security, and territorial arrangements that gave each species exactly what they needed for optimal growth. These calculations, she continued, show how human expansion can actually increase resource availability for other species through improved extraction techniques, terraforming assistance, and transportation networks. Or Commander Thexus studied the models with growing alarm. These projections are too perfect, too beneficial for everyone. No real proposal works this way. K worked this way, Yunji replied, when you start with the goal of helping everyone succeed instead of trying to gain advantage over others. The Korth Collective's representative pulsed with agitation. In 10,000 years of existence, we have observed the rise and fall of hundreds of civilizations. Every species follows the same pattern: expand, compete, dominate, or be dominated. It is the fundamental law of survival. Dong Min Seo, the human psychologist, leaned forward. Okay, what if that pattern exists because everyone expects it to exist? Okay, what if civilizations compete and fight because they believe they must, not because they actually must? Impossible, Cephas declared. This competition is built into the fabric of existence. Resources are limited. Territory is finite. Only the strong survive. Resources appear limited. Sun Ho Yu, the philosopher, said calmly, when civilizations waste energy fighting each other instead of working together to find solutions. Territory seems finite when everyone wants the same types of worlds instead of adapting to different environments. Wan Choi activated another display showing human colonies. We have established settlements on worlds other species consider uninhabitable. Desert planets, ice worlds, high-gravity environments, toxic atmospheres. We adapt to what is available instead of fighting for what is preferred. This still makes no sense, Thexus growled. If you can survive anywhere, why do you not simply take the best worlds? Why do you not demand tribute from weaker species? Why do you not expand your territory as quickly as possible? Minho Park stood again, his voice gentle but clear. Because we have learned something from our own history. Every time our species has tried to grow by taking from others, we have created enemies. Every time we have demanded submission, we have faced rebellion. Every time we have fought for dominance, we have wasted resources and lives that could have been used to benefit everyone. You speak of your history, the hive speaker buzzed. What makes you think you can avoid the mistakes of the past? We cannot avoid them, Minho admitted. But we can choose to learn from them. We can choose to try a different approach. The chamber erupted in agitated discussion. The aliens spoke rapidly in their own languages, their translation devices struggling to keep up. Words like impossible, deception, and trap repeated across multiple species. Hyun Woo Jang, who understood several alien languages, whispered to Minho, "They are not just confused, Ambassador. They are terrified. They keep saying that if we are telling the truth, it means everything they know about civilization is wrong." Finally, Zephyrs restored order. "Humans, your proposals are too good. Your research is too thorough. Your intentions seem too pure. In our experience, this level of apparent benevolence masks the greatest threats." "What kind of threat?" Salmin asked. "The threat of proving that there is another way," Zephyrs replied, her energy form flickering with fear. "If your approach works, if cooperation truly benefits everyone, if kindness is more effective than strength, then every species in this chamber has been wrong about everything. Every war we have fought, every conquest we have made, every enemy we have crushed was unnecessary. The implications are staggering," the crystal mind added. "If you succeed in creating a peaceful, prosperous galaxy through cooperation, you make our entire history of conflict seem foolish and brutal." War Commander Thexus's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "You are not just threatening our territory or our resources. You are threatening our entire understanding of what it means to be a civilization. You are making us question whether we are the villains in our own stories." The truth hung in the air like a poisonous cloud. The humans had not come to conquer or demand. They had come to offer something far more dangerous than warfare, the possibility of a better way to live among the stars. And that possibility terrified the aliens more than any weapon ever could. The alien delegates requested an immediate recess after the humans' revelation. They retreated to their separate quarters, leaving the conference chamber empty except for the soft hum of life support systems. The humans remained at their table, quietly reviewing their notes and waiting in the Decian wing of the station. War Commander Thexus paced like a caged predator. His communication officer, Subcommander Vectus, monitored incoming transmissions from the Thessian fleet. Sir Vectus reported, "High Command wants to know why negotiations are taking so long. They expected either human surrender or a declaration of war by now." Thexus stopped pacing. His yellow eyes reflected the harsh lights of the military quarters. "Tell High Command that we are dealing with something unprecedented. The humans are not behaving like any species we have encountered." "What are your orders, sir?" Thesis was quiet for a long moment. In his mind, he replayed every human word, every gesture, every proposal. His military training told him to look for deception, for hidden weapons, for strategic advantages. But he found none. "Vectus, in your opinion, what is the greatest threat our empire has ever faced?" The younger officer thought carefully. "The Grekini expansion wars, sir. They nearly conquered 4 of our outer colonies," said quietly. "The greatest threat we have ever faced is sitting in that conference room, offering to help us build better worlds for our people." Vectus looked confused. "Sir, I do not understand." "Neither do I," Vexus admitted, "and that terrifies me." 8. The Valkyrie section, the hive speaker connected to the collective consciousness of her species. Billions of minds shared her confusion and fear. The conversation between the humans and aliens played repeatedly through the hive network. The collective voice spoke through her. These humans propose solutions that benefit all parties. This is not natural. This is not how evolution works. Strong species survive by taking from weak species. This is the law of existence. But younger voices in the collective whispered different thoughts. What if the law is wrong? What if cooperation makes all species stronger? The hive speaker felt the collective mind fracturing for the first time in centuries. Some believed the humans were dangerous manipulators. Others wondered if humans might be right about cooperation. The disagreement created chaos in the usually unified hive consciousness. Silence. the hive speaker commanded. We must decide quickly. Humans are telling the truth about their intentions. Our entire social structure becomes questionable. Why do we consume weaker species if cooperation could feed everyone? The question hung in the collective mind like poison. Meanwhile, the human delegation remained in the conference room. Damin Essio, the psychologist, analyzed the alien behavior patterns he had observed. "Ambassador," he said to Minho Park, "we are witnessing something remarkable. The aliens' fear is not about military threats or territorial disputes. They are experiencing existential crisis." "Explain," Minho requested. "Each species has built their civilization on specific assumptions about survival and competition. Dishans believe only the strong deserve to live. The Valkyrie think resources must be taken from others to survive. The court see existence as a contest where someone must lose for others to win." Taeyeon Kim nodded. "Our approach challenges every assumption they have used to justify their actions for thousands of years." "Exactly," Dongman continued. "If we prove that cooperation works better than competition, we make their entire history seem unnecessary. Every war they fought, every species they conquered, every resource they hoarded was based on a false belief." Samin Lee looked troubled. "Right? We destroying their sense of identity, their cultural foundations. We are offering them a choice," Minho replied. "They can continue believing that conflict is necessary, or they can consider that there might be another way." Ji Won Choi had been monitoring alien communications through the station's translation systems. "Ambassador, I am detecting emergency transmissions from several alien fleets. They are requesting permission to approach this station." "How many ships?" Salmon asked. "Veshan Empire, 47 warships. Kari Collective, 63 hive carriers. Korth Collective, 21 energy cruisers. The other species are sending smaller fleets." Yunwoo Jung looked up from his language analysis. "I have been studying their communications. They are not discussing invasion plans or military strategies. They are debating whether humans represent a threat to galactic civilization itself." In the court section of the station, High Counselor Zephys communicated with the ancient minds of her people, beings of pure energy who had existed for millions of years. They had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. "The human approach is unprecedented," she reported to the Korth collective consciousness. "We have observed 10,000 species reach spaceflight capability. All follow identical patterns: expand, compete, dominate, or disappear. Humans suggest a completely different path." The ancient voices whispered through quantum fields. "Humans succeed with cooperation. It proves that all other species chose conflict unnecessarily. It means millions of years of warfare and conquest were pointless cruelty." "What if they are manipulating us?" Zephys asked. "What if they are not?" came the reply. "What if kindness is more powerful than force? What if we have been wrong about everything?" The possibility created terror in minds that had existed since the galaxy was young. Back in the Decian quarters, Thexus received new orders from his superiors. "All alien fleets are approaching this station," he told Vectus. "High Command believes the humans have somehow convinced us to lower our defenses. They want us to prepare for immediate evacuation and military response. Are the humans planning an attack, sir?" Thexus looked at the tactical displays showing human space. Their ships were in normal patrol patterns. Their colonies showed no signs of military buildup. Their behavior suggested they were genuinely focused on peaceful activities. "No," he said finally, "they are not planning an attack. They are doing something much worse. Worse, sir. They are being sincere. They actually want to help us. They actually believe cooperation is better than conquest." Six's voice carried a mixture of wonder and horror. "If they are right, then my entire species has been living like monsters for 10,000 years." The realization hit him like a physical blow. Every enemy his people had crushed, every world they had conquered, every species they had subjugated had been unnecessary. They could have chosen friendship instead of war. The thought was unbearable. Similar conversations were happening throughout the alien sections. Each species was confronting the possibility that their fundamental beliefs about survival and civilization were wrong. The human delegation waited patiently in the conference room, unaware that their simple offer of friendship had created the greatest crisis in galactic history. Outside the station, dozens of alien warships approached, not to attack the humans, but to protect themselves from the terrifying possibility that the humans might be right about everything. The galaxy was about to learn that the most dangerous weapon in the universe was not technology or military might. It was hope. The alien fleets arrived at Kepler's Rest like a storm of metal and energy. 150 warships from 7 different species surrounded the neutral station. Their weapons were powered, their shields were raised, and their crews were ready for battle. But no battle came. Instead, the human ships that had been patrolling nearby did something that shocked every alien commander. They opened their airlocks and transmitted a simple message. "We invite you aboard for dinner. We would like to meet you." War Commander Thexus stared at his tactical display in disbelief. "They're inviting us to dinner," he told his bridge crew. "Their ships are defenseless. No shields, no charged weapons, no combat formations. It's tactical." Officer looked confused. "Sir, this must be a trap. No species exposes themselves to enemy fleets without reason, lest they do not see us as enemies," Thexus said quietly. On the lead human ship, Captain Sunho, you prepared to address the combined alien fleet. He was a philosopher by training, a starship captain by necessity, and a believer in human potential by choice. His crew looked nervous as dozens of alien warships maintained weapons lock on their vessel. "Captain," his communications officer said, "we are receiving multiple demands for surrender from the alien fleets. They want us to submit to protective custody for the safety of the galaxy." Sunho nodded calmly. Open a channel to all ships." The main view screen activated, showing his image to every alien fleet commander simultaneously. His voice was steady and warm as he spoke. "I am Captain Sunho Yu of the Human Federation. I see that you are afraid. You are afraid because you think kindness is a strategy, that cooperation is manipulation, that peace is a weapon. But what terrifies you most is the possibility that we are sincere. 'Cause that would mean everything you have built your civilizations on was a choice, not a necessity." The words hit the alien commanders like physical blows. In the Decian flagship, Texas felt his scaled hands tremble. Hive carrier. The collective consciousness went silent for the first time in centuries. In the Korth energy, cruiser ancient minds that had existed since the birth of stars questioned everything they knew. Sunho continued speaking. "You have surrounded us with warships because you believe we threaten your way of life. You are correct. We do threaten it. We threaten the idea that civilizations must choose between conquering or being conquered. We threaten the belief that resources are so limited that someone must suffer for others to prosper. We threaten the assumption that different species cannot trust each other." On Kepler's Rest Station, Ambassador Minho Park and his delegation watched the confrontation through the observation deck. The massive alien fleet created a wall of metal and energy around them, but Minho felt no fear. "Sir," Salmon Lee said quietly, "if they decide to attack, we have no defense." "We have the best defense possible," Minho replied. "We have shown them who we really are." Back on the human ship, Sunho activated another display. It showed images from human colonies across 17 star systems, diverse worlds where humans had adapted to local conditions instead of forcing planets to adapt to human needs. Research stations where human scientists studied alien biology, not to find weaknesses, but to understand life in all its forms. Trade outposts where humans exchanged knowledge and resources with any species willing to interact peacefully. This is what we offer, Sun Ho said. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not domination, but partnership, okay? Not the submission of the weak to the pot. Strong, but the success of everyone through mutual support. In the Decian flagship, Sub-Commander Vectus turned to his superior. Sir, what are your orders? Vexus stared at the human ship floating helplessly before his weapons. One command from him could destroy it instantly. One order could eliminate the threat to everything his species believed about strength and survival. But the threat was not really the humans. The threat was the possibility that his people had been wrong for 10,000 years. Sir, Vectus prompted. Vexus thought about his own children back on the homeworld. They were being raised to believe that only the strong deserved to live, that showing mercy was weakness, that other species existed only to be conquered or avoided. What kind of galaxy would they inherit if those beliefs continued? Stand down weapons, he ordered quietly. Sir, stand down weapons, lower shields, prepare a shuttle for diplomatic contact. The order rippled through the dashing fleet, then spread to other alien ships as commanders made similar decisions, one by one. The warships powered down their weapons and opened communication channels, but not all of them. The Grekani's battle fleet maintained combat readiness. Their commander, Fleet Admiral Corvus, refused to lower his defenses. This is mass hypnosis, he declared to his allies. The humans have somehow compromised your judgment. We will not fall to their psychological warfare. Any three Grekani warships remained in attack formation, their weapons aimed at the human vessels. Sun Ho looked at the tactical display showing the Grekani threat. His crew waited for orders to raise shields or call for reinforcement. Instead, he activated the communication system again. Fleet Admiral Corvus, he said calmly. We understand your fear. Change is difficult, especially when it challenges everything you have been taught. If you need to fire on us to feel safe, we will not stop you. But we ask that you give us 1 hour to show you something first. Show me what? Corvus demanded. Your galaxy could become. The next hour changed everything. Human ships throughout the region opened their databases to alien inspection. Every piece of research, every technological advancement, every scientific discovery was shared freely. Agricultural techniques that could double food production on any world. Medical knowledge that could cure diseases affecting multiple species. Engineering solutions that could make space travel safer and more efficient. Most importantly, they shared their history. The humans showed the aliens their own past, full of wars and conflicts and competition. They showed how humanity had nearly destroyed itself multiple times before learning that cooperation was more powerful than conquest. We are not naturally peaceful, Minho Park explained to the assembled alien delegates who had transferred to the human ships. We learned to be peaceful because the alternative was extinction. We chose to help each other because we discovered it worked better than fighting each other. Fleet Admiral Corvus was the last to lower his weapons. When he finally did, he sent a simple message. How do we begin? The answer came not from the human leadership, but from an unexpected source. Young Hyun Woo Jang, the linguist who had been quietly observing everything, stepped forward. We begin by talking, he said. We begin by listening. We begin by choosing to believe that former enemies can become friends. 6 months later, the first Interspecies Cooperation Council was established at Kepler's Rest. Not all alien species joined immediately. Some retreated to their traditional territories, unwilling to accept the new paradigm. But enough joined to create a foundation for something unprecedented in galactic history. Ambassador Minho Park became the first director of the Institute for interspecies understanding. His mission was simple: teach the galaxy that there was another way to exist among the stars. The humans had won the most important victory in galactic history. They had not conquered their enemies. They had turned them into friends, and in doing so, they had proven that the most powerful weapon in the universe was not technology or military might, but the simple belief that everyone could succeed together. The galaxy would never be the same.